Hi, we're going to talk about Chapter 3. Chapter 3 covers topics such as globalization, social responsibility, and ethics. So we're going to lead off and we're going to talk about the global village. And indeed, it is a boundaryless world where trade is able to be done throughout the world. So here in the US, of course, we can make products and send it to another part of the world, and they'll send their products to us. And over the course of time, we're going to take a look at Chapter 3. And Chapter 3 covers topics such as globalization, social responsibility, and ethics. We're going to lead off talking about a global village. And a global village is simply a boundaryless world, as you can see in the slide. And what that's allowed us to do is with trade, we can trade our products made here in the US all over the world. And in return, those other countries can ship their products here. Now, in this slide here, there's 6 different areas. I'm only going to touch on a couple. The first one to touch on is global sourcing, and this is the least risk, but also the least control that you would have of your product because you are having your product made in another part of the world. The one I want to talk about the most has the highest risk and highest reward, and that's the foreign subsidiary. So in regards to the foreign subsidiary, this is where an organization can buy the land in a country, they can build the building in the country, they have the equipment shipped to that building, and then they can produce their product in that country itself. Now, there's many risks, but I want to talk about two. One of which is trying to find the right people with the right skill sets to perform the tasks that you need to produce your product. The second one, and I think the most important one, is that the host country can seize your assets and you can't do much about it. So, while yes, you make your product, you're in control of your process, you can ship the products, and you get a greater reward, the risk is much greater. Now, there are different types of global organizations. There's a multinational. The multinational is where organizations make more than 25% of their money outside of their home country. And then you have something like the transnational, and what transnational is where they have plants all over across the world, and they'll reach across borders in order to produce their products. So, for example, if we have a plant in Switzerland, we have a plant in France, we have a plant in Germany, we can go across the borders in order to produce our products. Now, there's a concept called globe. And what globe is a study of how people across the world are rated in certain areas. And when you look at this slide, you can see assertiveness. So how assertive are they? How much are they willing to take control? So for example, here in the US, we're rated very high in something like that, where countries such as Sweden aren't. You take a look at gender differentiation. This is where there's a hierarchy between men and women and how they're looked at in business. Countries such as like China, Egypt, I'm sorry, ladies, please don't send me nasty emails. The male is looked higher in regard than the female, whereas in other countries such as Sweden, Denmark, Poland, females and males are looked upon pretty much the same. And so you'll see that. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that if you work with people in different countries, you'll get an understanding about their cultures and how they approach business. It's very important. So not everyone approaches business the way that the US does, and you have to be cognizant of that, as well as they have to be cognizant when they come here and do business with us. Now, we want to talk about corporate social responsibility. There are many, many different things that comprise of social responsibility. And when you think about corporate social responsibility, many things can come to mind: sustainability, jobs, giving back to the community, etc. Okay, and I'll give you a definition of what Jack Welch said corporate social responsibility is, and you may agree or disagree with this. His definition was winning. You cannot give back if you do not have any money. So your first responsibility and social responsibility is to be a winning organization so that you have the resources to give back. Some people agree with that, some people don't. And I can tell you over the years of teaching, about 15 years ago, that's how we taught social responsibility. Now for social responsibility, it's being profitable and giving back at the same time. They go hand in hand. So you see the social obligations and social responsiveness. Now, on this slide, you can see the pros and cons of social responsibility. For the pros, of course, you could use this marketing, you could use this recruiting. I've seen where organizations will use this as a recruiting tool to try to get people, the traditional college age, to come work for them. Now, in regards to the negatives, is cost. Yes, you are spending money to be socially responsible. And if you're a publicly traded company, they're looking for profits. They're looking for how much money they get on shareholder return. So they may not be as happy with how much social responsibility that you have or that you're trying to portray. Now, does it have an effect on economic performance? Depends who you talk to. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that yes, it does or no, it doesn't. A lot of it depends upon perspective, and a lot of it depends upon what matrix you're using. Depending upon the process, depending upon the money, depending upon what's being done. There is a lot of positivity to it in regards, like I said in that last slide, about recruiting, about marketing, but also you're not making as much profit. But that lends the question to be asked, or that makes the question be asked: how much is too much money? How much is too much profit? And again, that's debatable. Sustainability, I think you have a pretty idea what sustainability is, of course, is to make sure what we use, we replace, or we even make things better than what it was. For example, in paper mills, when they cut down trees, they will plant trees in its place. And so in water, you're seeing with the data centers, they will recycle the water that they use. And so they want to be these more sustainable organizations and to make things better than what it was, or at least equal to what things were. Ethics. Now, we touched on ethics in chapter 2. And one thing I want to talk about here is that no one should ever tell you what your ethics are or what they should be. Okay? And so we're going to make that one of our key words here. Now, in regards to ethics, there are different definitions and there are different interpretations of what ethics it is. We all know right and wrong. And how we interpret right and wrong is up to the individuals. So again, I want to make sure that you don't let somebody tell you what ethics are. And I'll give you a couple examples from my experience. At a school I used to teach on, now this wasn't me, I didn't do this, but there was a school that I taught at where an instructor downgraded a paper on ethics because he did not like the person's ethical approach. She got a C in the paper. She filed a complaint, and as she should, and she won the appeal. And I believe she got an A. I'm not sure, but I know she got a higher grade than a C. So yes, when it comes to ethics and academics, especially in school, it should be about the argument that you make, the supporting argument, not the stance that you took. When I was in doctoral school, I had an instructor tell me, I had a student in a capstone class, was going through a divorce. She was having a ton of personal issues. And I told her that if she wanted some books to use for her capstone, she's more than welcome to come over. She's more than welcome to grab the books. And I thought it was helping her. Um, the instructor was like, I disagree with your ethics, and you were wrong. He actually told me I was wrong for trying to help this person and the ethical approach I had with that. I disagreed with him, of course. And, sometimes when it comes to school and instructors, you have to go things well in one year, out the other. Not this class, all right, not this class. But sometimes that has to happen. You may disagree with the instructor, and sometimes the instructor or other students in your class will get kind of overboard on what they're saying. So again, take it with a grain of salt. There we go. So what determines our ethics? Um, your experience. I think that's the biggest one, along with your upbringing, your parents, the examples that you had, the observations that you have at work. You see the organizational culture in there. Yes, that can definitely change your approach, and that goes with those observations at work that we just talked about. Now, code of ethics is going to be another key word for this, for this week. And a code of ethics is simply a document telling how the business is going to be run and how, well, not say run, but how you perform business representing that company. Ethics training, I've been through many ethics trainings before, both in person and digitally. You're going to see more virtual training. Um, some of it's common sense. Some of it will make you think a little bit, but it's something that everyone has to do. And it's good. You'll learn some few things if you have an open mind with it. If you take it like, oh my gosh, not ethics again. Yeah, it might be kind of tough. But if you have an open mind and allow yourself to learn, you probably learn something along the way. The last slide I want to talk about is, can ethics be taught? Yes and no. It can be taught through observation. Can it be taught through the trainings? Somewhat, depending upon if the person is paying attention or, if they're want to learn something. But can it be taught? It can be just by examples, again, by observations, and by the code of ethics about how we run a business. Because what'll happen is that what is learned at the first job will be carried over to the second job. And the person that you were in your first job may be completely different as a worker that you are in your fourth job. And so, yes, I do think it can be taught, but also no in regards to it depends if the person truly wants to learn. So that's my discussion on chapter 3. Hope you enjoyed it. And it was only two key words for this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in chapter 4. Take care of yourself. Have a great day.